Hello, everybody. Welcome to the budget hearing. I am Kelly Lang, Vice President of the School Board. I'm filling in for Chris Weigert tonight, School Board President, and he is unable to attend due to work travel. A few words about tonight's hearing. This is not a school board meeting. The purpose of this hearing is to give the public an opportunity to provide feedback regarding the budget. Following this hearing, there is a meeting scheduled to begin at 7 p.m., and that's the annual meeting of the electors in which eligible members of the audience will vote on proposed resolutions. So thanks again for attending this meeting, which is being held on behalf of the constituents of the school district. I'd like to ask for confirmation that these meetings have been posted. Yes, they were. It's been confirmed that this meeting was posted. The agenda is found on page 2 of your handout, and it's also on the screen. I would now ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Chris Jenkins, thank you. Do we have a second? Paul Fisher, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. We will do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. We have an approved agenda for this public hearing of the 2024-25 budget. A copy of this meeting and the annual meeting's procedures and ground rules is available at various spots and includes guiding statements for the conduct of the 2 meetings this evening. Question and comment cards are located in various areas on buff-colored paper if people wish to write statements to be shared with the school board. After the presentation of the budget, we will then invite voting members of the public to comment up to 3 minutes. I would now like to introduce Andrew Sarno, Assistant Superintendent for Business Operations, forward to present the budget.
I appreciate the introduction. Thank you so much. I have some brief information here this evening, and additionally, we are in an effort to be transparent with the district, with the members of our organization, have additional information that I'll be able to point out towards the end. This is the budget hearing. There will be a comment section in a few moments. Additionally, if you do have anything that you'd like written statements, please grab one of those buff sheets in lieu of commenting. There's a reason that we're here tonight. Number one is that it's driven by state statutes that says we need to be here. I'm very happy to be able to share this information because above and beyond the statute requirement, there's a importance between being connected with the community and the transparency in being able to share this information that has meaning. We do have a formal agenda. We've called the meeting to order. We've approved the agenda. The procedure really is just making sure that folks are aware of the comment, let alone the ability to fill out one of the comment forms rather than speak. I'll share a few information. I have some supplemental information that I'll share, as well as some requirements that I'm obligated to share at this meeting. We'll have the comment section. Individuals can either comment up to 3 minutes or fill out one of the forms, and then we'll ask for a motion to adjourn at the end of this meeting. No formal action is taken, though, at this meeting. Just a few housekeeping information items. Due to the publication in bringing this information forward to the board with the timing requirements, this is information as of September 4th. So this is a little bit old. Even though last Friday we had our 3rd Friday count in September, I've not incorporated that because changing it at this point in time would be contradictory to the planning purposes of this meeting. So we still have some assumptions. We have some calculated estimates for this meeting, and that's what I've included in this presentation. At the same time, though, your input tonight will be valuable for the board. We'll make sure that they get this information because on October 21st at the regularly scheduled meeting, they will be setting the final budget, final levy, and final mill rate. In fact, they'll be bringing 2 forward this year because of the referendum that we have on November 5th. Additionally, I always have this as an asterisk. A budget is a living document, and it's subject to change. Our spend plan is subject to change. I anticipate this coming spring that even though we will have a final budget approved on October 21st, that spend plan may change, therefore a formal process to bring an amendment forward to the board at that time. I have a comprehensive budget book. It's available on the back. Thank you, Nancy, for pulling this together. Very thoughtful. We have a lot of information in here, and above and beyond that, I even have the QR code available in several spots that takes you to the district's website that has budgeting, financial information, a lot of our past audits, a lot of different information that's helpful. But we have our district's mission and vision in the booklet, the two agendas for the meetings this evening, some financial highlights, again, the link to our budget and finance website, the reference to the budget publication that was published on September 13th is included in the packet. I have two revenue limit worksheets, again, related to the referendum, if it passes or if it fails, the implications of both. We have graphs representing some of the highlights of our finances, as well as a listing of our school board members, as well as our district level administrators. What drives what we do, our mission, preparing all students for college readiness and career success with our vision of being excellence for all. So that's important to know that because we engage individuals throughout the budgeting process. We make sure that we plan appropriately, we have strategies, as well as making sure that we take that mission and vision into account when we're developing our budget. I'm going to get into the few graphs that we have. Students really drive a lot of our revenue, where it's a dollar amount per student, the number of students that we get to count. So this is a membership. This is driven by the dollars, not enrollment, which are the students that we're educating who are in our schools, because there's a difference. But as you can see, about a 10-year history that we've had declining enrollment. We've stabilized all the way through 8th grade. We still have some larger class sizes or grade level sizes in the high school yet. But we've had continued declining enrollment, a little bit smaller in the grade levels and the lower, again, larger in the high school. Another important piece, because how much money we get from the state is determined by how property rich we are or property poor we are. But one of the pieces of that is that property valuation. So the last couple of years have been pretty untraditional, 12 and 14% property value growth, right at about the state average. We weren't varying too much. This year you can see just a little bit of a tip downwards, still an increase, but just not as large of growth. Property values are starting to stabilize, 5.1% this year, where the state average is 7%. So a little bit less growth on average than the state. But again, in the last several years, we've added multiple $1 billion to our growth. So we're at just about a little over an $8 billion property value district at this point in time. As referenced again, when I take a look at the revenue limit, which the revenue limit equals property taxes plus the state aid, this is an important part, is that funding from the state. So it's based on a 3-tiered calculation model. And again, taking a look at how much property value per student. We have received just in recent years more funding from the state. That's a part of the biennial budget process, identified for some property tax relief. So we can see that in the budget, even though we have been a more property-rich district that was referenced earlier. So when we take a look at that, again, with the revenue limit, funding from the state, what's left after that are the property taxes. I have two of these slides for you this evening. Is this property tax, and again, this is an estimate at this point in time, but we have some historical levies. These are the levies, the dollars from property taxes. But if the referendum were to pass, embedded in this for those payments is a levy of approximately $8.25 million. But that's if the if the referendum were to pass. Likewise, if the referendum were to fail, I show that as well in the calculation that we have. So we've seen a little bit of a decrease over the last couple of years, again, because number one, declining enrollment, and number two is the state's been infusing money into our funding formula. When we take a look at the mill rate, and what the mill rate is, it's the calculation, it's a percentage. And so this is percentage of $1,000 of taxation of property value. We've had a decrease over the last several years. We can even see a history where the community's told us to take care of our current debt from 2009 and 2012 referendums. This first scenario shows $1.02 impact, so a proposed or a currently calculated mill rate of $5.87 if the referendum were to pass. Likewise, the second scenario is if the referendum were to fail, we'd be looking right now with the current data that I have, and we'll get final information on October 15th from the Department of Revenue and the Department of Public Instruction, but a mill rate of $4.85. Just a little bit of additional information that I like to share. Fund balance, sharing our financial position, our existing debt, our statutory capacity for debt, and we disclose all of this information on an annual basis. I am required to share our other post-employment benefit information, so it's a disclosure that I make at this annual meeting. We always share what we do with our community services fund, all of the programs and the costs associated with that, as well as some assumptions leading into several weeks from now when this final information is brought forward for the board to take action. So fund balance is considered the district's cash equivalent of assets minus liabilities. It's a status as of June 30th, but it's really important because the debt rating agencies, which I'll share some information in just a moment, they use that similar to us when we go to the bank for a mortgage or a car loan. It's a sign of financial health. It is also there for any large unexpected expenditures that we might incur that we have not budgeted, that we can't anticipate, because sometimes things happen. We do have school board policy 662.3. It talks about a recommended range of 14 to 18% of unassigned. And the purpose behind that is to make sure that we have appropriate cash flow, as well as some self-funded health reserves, which I'll share those disclosures in just a minute. We haven't had to cash flow for the last several years. We are doing a study right now to understand what that looks like for the current year, which we always do, but we're determining if we do need it. So we haven't used it for about 5 years now, but we're trying to understand if it's needed for the current year. We currently have an unassigned fund balance, again, based on the board policy of 14 to 18%. It's at 17.1%. It's up 2.6%. We'd added a little bit of fund balance this last year as of June 30th, but there's a little bit of growth. Additionally, because it's a percent, the denominator in that is our lower expenditures, again, because of declining enrollment. We have set aside dollars, the Jackson Trust. It's in a committed account, $1.5 million. As referenced earlier, we are self-funded, both health and dental. We have reserves of $3.3 million set aside for volatility in those expenditures. That's unchanged from last year, but those dollars are set aside for that purpose. And the important part here as well is we looked at that June 30th of 2024 audit that's underway, and we bring all of these fund balance classifications forward as a part of the audit wrap-up, which usually happens between December and January. So those are brought forward for board discussion as well as board action when they accept the audit, and that will be a typical process anticipated this year as well. As mentioned, we have a Standard & Poor's rating. The last time that we had one was July of 2021 when we refinanced a bond issue. We're a AA negative, which is in the top tier of their matrix. So we're seen as a very fiscally solid organization, but it's not just about us as well as in its own entity. They factor in the communities that represent us, in the stability of the local economics, governmental health, as well as our debt ratio, which I'll share in just a couple moments. But it's important to understand that, again, just like it's important in your own personal life. This is our debt, district debt, as of June 30th of 2024. Again, that snapshot in time when we ended last fiscal year. So disclosing the principal, we don't have any more non-referendum debt. The last payment was made this last April of $1 million. We still have almost $4.4 million of referendum principal, including about $178,000 of interest. So we're just over $4.5 million of principal and interest. That full amount has already been levied. So that's in an interest-bearing account at this point in time. So even though we still have payments through April of 2026, we don't anticipate levying any additional dollars again from 2009 and 2012 referendums. Speaking of the debt, we always disclose our debt capacity. Statutorily, we're allowed up to 10% of our total property values. Again, we're about an $8 billion property value district. So technically, statutorily, we could go up to $806 million of debt. Currently, again, we have just principal only. We have $4.4 million outstanding. So we're using a fraction of our authority, and it represents even a smaller fraction of our actual property value ratio. We need to disclose our Fund 73, which is our other post-employment benefit trust, talking about the financial health of that, those dollars set aside. We had a beginning fund balance of about $5.2 million. We added in about 1.95 million of revenues, had expenditures of 1.8, and therefore we increased our fund balance within this trust by about $150,000. That fund balance can fluctuate based on retiree benefit costs, other variables, but the purpose behind having this trust is to build up the fund balance to be able to utilize that to minimize the outstanding liability that exists. We need to make sure that our standards tests exist as a requirement, and we've been meeting that, as well as a biennial actuarial study, which we're current on. Our Community Services Fund, how I describe this, it's our Fund 80. When we talk about Fund 80, it's everything that we do outside of a typical school day. We drive ours through students. There's communities that can go into adult education and some other areas, but this is anything outside of a typical school day. So all of the programs between some middle school sports and co-curriculars, Silverbrook Elementary co-curriculars, we have early learning programs, some family engagement, we have our school police officers, community partnerships and engagement, as well as some facility use outside of a typical school day, not related to our curriculum, not related to our sports, but total anticipated is just under $800,000. There are some revenues collected, but there's a levy to offset this. Two important parts is that with our school police officers is that we allow them, or it's a requirement that they spend time at our private schools, as well as anything that we offer for our students in this fund is we open it up to private schools as well as homeschooled students, which we actually do have participating students from our community. A little bit of information as of tonight. So balanced general fund is being presented, and that's one of the objectives that we have. We've put pieces in place to be able to bring that forward. Other areas, so again, our debt services fund, we have fund balance that we'll be using, so there can be fluctuations in fund balance based on anticipated activity. So pretty strategic when we use fund balance. At this point in time, as of September 4th, all anticipated expenditures, all anticipated revenues have been incorporated into this. We had a budget publication, statutorily it's required by the 13th, printed on the 13th. The September, third Friday in September, student count is underway. That was this last Friday that I referenced earlier, as well as the Department of Public Instruction and Department of Revenue information will be to us on October 15th, right before that October 21st board meeting where the board will take final action. Several years ago, there was a Governmental Accounting Standards Board requirement, and I like to disclose this. We meet that. We're required to account for dollars, revenues, and expenditures in a certain way, and we meet that. Actually, we're ahead of that. These are levy estimates at this point in time until we receive that final information in the middle of October. But without debt levy, we have an anticipated decrease in our levy by 1.96%. If we do have a debt levy, if the referendum were to pass, we'd have an increase by 18.7%. The mill rate calculation compared to last year, if there's no debt levy, if the referendum were to fail, it will decrease to $4.85 from the last year's $5.20. However, if the referendum were to pass, it would be an increase of $5.87. That levy related, whether it's the levy or the mill rate, is reflective of both principal and interest for the referendum. We will be actually backing up to last year. We strategically claimed ESSER dollars last year to wrap up last year because we have a September 30th quickly approaching. We are claiming dollars this year to wrap up the budget, but we're using those to balance the budget just like the legislature told us to when we had minimal increases in the revenue limit. I'd like to share additionally, we had the budget publication. That's a live link in this document. It's published in board documents, but that was published on September 13th. Interestingly enough, we will have a new biennial budget, so this spring, as we're looking out to future years, because we're already looking at that, it's a new biennial budget process, and we'll know very little, probably until late spring or early summer, on what that looks like moving forward. There's a component that was brought forward as a part of the last biennial budget to receive a $325 increase in the revenue limit. That translates to about 2.9% in the revenue limit. So we will need to see what this looks like moving forward for future year budgets, even though tonight is about the current year that we're in right now. If it's okay, Ms. Lang, I would like to make a motion for public hearing. My presentation is concluded. Again, there's comment cards in the back and kind of a tan paper if you wish to write it out. I make sure that the board will get all the copies of that, as well as inviting individuals up to the microphone. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that presentation. At this time, eligible voters can share their feedback on the topic of the budget. Residents will be given 3 minutes to speak. Every U.S. citizen, age 18 and older, who has resided in the district for at least 28 days is an eligible elector. Each elector who wishes to speak should line up at this microphone and ask that you state your name. I would invite members of the public to speak regarding the topic of the budget only at the podium to my right, your left. Again, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes per turn. A visual timer will be present, so anyone at this point can come up to this podium. Okay. Seeing none, we've reached the end of this budget hearing. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Paul Fisher, thank you. Do we have a second? I'm sorry, Tracy Wells, thank you. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We will do a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. The annual meeting will begin in 10 minutes. Or do we want 7 p.m. Oh, I apologize. We will start at 7 p.m., so in 4 minutes. Okay, thank you, everyone. We're going to get started. So welcome to the 105th Annual Meeting of Electors of the West Bend Joint School District Number 1. I'm Kelly Lang, School Board Vice President, and I will call the meeting to order. Please rise if you are able to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. The purpose of the annual meeting is to provide eligible members of the audience with an opportunity to vote on proposed resolutions. A procedures and ground rules document is available at various spots, including guidelines statements for the conduct for the 2 meetings this evening. I would like to ask for nominations to elect a chairperson for the annual meeting. Do I have any nominations? Thank you. Kelly Lang was nominated by Chad Temez. Do we have a second? Aaron Dove, thank you. I am happy to accept this nomination. Are there any other individuals or other motions for another to chair this meeting? Okay, this is the final call to close nominations. With 1 nominee for chairperson, we will do a voice vote. All in favor of Kelly Lang for chairperson, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Thank you, motion carries. Okay, it was previously confirmed that this meeting was posted. The agenda itself is found on page 2 of the handout. It's also on the screen. I would now ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Who said that? Paul Fisher, thank you. Do we have a second? And you have that?
I'm sorry, I can see it. It's Cameron Merkel.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. We will do a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Thank you. Motion carries, and we have an approved agenda. All right, I would like to introduce Dr. Jen Wimmer, Superintendent, to provide a State of the District report.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's my privilege to serve as superintendent for the West Bend School District. I want to start with a little bit of background information. If you're not familiar with the district, we're geographically large, representing over 100 square miles and 1.2 million square feet of facilities to maintain. So we have a rich history and an exciting future, and there's where we are geographically. Just a snapshot of our enrollment. These are our different programs. Early Learning is a comprehensive program that's served at community partner sites as well as our Ralph's Education Center. So you can see that enrollment in that program. This is projected to be the 3rd Friday count. We just got those preliminary numbers just this last Friday, so we'll review all those pieces. But this is if I were to take attendance in the building, here's how many students that I would expect. You can see that enrollment continues to decline. That's something that we worked with UW-Madison to review and publish a population study. We've used that in our facilities work to guide us as we figure out what that footprint is for our district that we need to carry forward. So we anticipate to stabilize around the 5,000 student mark in the future. So again, you can see that piece coming through. The district follows a guiding philosophy of continuous improvement with a focus on student learning as well as engagement for not just our students, but our families and our community, and foundational elements of safe and secure facilities, operations, being efficient as well. So you can watch any of our board meetings online. They're also archived, But in these elements, we'll dig in deeper. So I know before the beginning of the year, Dr. Trueblood gave a comprehensive update on academic performance, which she does at semester and end of year. Emily Melstrand, our Director of Student Services, also gives comprehensive updates. So if you're interested in digging a little bit more into the pieces of that continuous improvement puzzle, I would urge you to go online and check those out. I always like to highlight our graduates. They take an end-of-the-year survey. You can see of the students surveyed, it was 538 students of the 491 graduates. The majority of our students are pursuing some type of post-high school education, whether it's a 2-year, a technical school, a 4-year institution. Or many of them are using their education and their high school experience to jumpstart their work. And they're going into the market right away to enter the workforce. We also additionally have students who make a commitment to serve their country in the services. And then some students are still undecided, and that's okay too. We've got a really good foundation for them built so they can explore many different avenues. To highlight the academic achievement of our West Bend students, we have strong student performance and a variety of academic programs. Again, I foreshadowed that commitment to continuous improvement. We're always looking for ways we can increase these things, but to highlight, the district has established dedication to both the academics and offering a broad range of learning opportunities as well as personal growth for its students. For example, for 3 consecutive years, we've ranked in the top 25% of all K-12 public school districts in Wisconsin based on our state accountability report cards. A total of 507 East and West students took 910 AP tests just last year. Notably, over 80% of those students taking those exams earned a score of 3 or above, which is a requirement to receive college credit. Students from East and West high schools earned well over 2,000 credits, 2,500 credits, college credits in the 22-23 school year. So I don't have my updated numbers just yet, through Moraine Park Technical College, saving our families and our students over $400,000 in tuition because they're able to start that with us here. Our community supports our graduating seniors with more than $900,000 in just local scholarships. And even though West Bend ranks between the 1st through 4th place in student achievement among comparable spending districts in the state, we continue to focus on academic growth. In addition, we offer many opportunities to our students. So we started a virtual academy, which serves students whether they're interested in taking either one class or all of their classes fully online. We offer over 30 advanced placement courses, 15 honors courses, a variety of technical education classes in the areas of business and information technology, family and consumer science, technology, and engineering. We also support student youth apprenticeships and Project Lead the Way. These programs are specifically designed to provide our students with hands-on learning experiences that prepare them for careers in technical and professional areas. In fact, in 2023 and 24, students from East and West completed youth apprenticeships in the following areas: architecture and construction, arts, communication and information technology, finance, health sciences, education, agriculture, foods and natural resources, hospitality and tourism, manufacturing, marketing, and transportation, distribution, and logistics. So our students can also participate in dual enrollment programs with Moraine Park, as well as any of the UW partners through early college credit programs, and the Start College Now program through any other technical schools. In addition to all those pieces, we have a variety of clubs and co-curriculars that our students can participate in. I want to highlight our Vantage Point. You heard me talk about board meetings and how you can see those. Our families receive our Wednesday district news. We do that every Wednesday during the school year, every other Wednesday during the summer. If you're a community member or any member who's interested, you can sign up for those directly by visiting our website. We'd urge you to do that. Then they get delivered right to your email inbox. If you don't want them delivered, you can always go back and peruse those issues of, again, that weekly news. In addition, we publish a quarterly Vantage Point that gives you those highlights. If I had the opportunity to stand up and talk about how amazing our students and staff are, we would be here all night. So this kind of sums up and gives you some highlights throughout the year. So we just published our annual one that kind of culminates all those different accomplishments. So again, I would urge you to sign up on our website directly so that can be delivered right to your inbox, whether it's, again, that Wednesday district news or it's that quarterly Vantage Point. In addition to our students, I'd like to really highlight our amazing staff. These are just the staff by the numbers, and they're so much more than that. We have a mix of certified or licensed staff members, as well as a variety of support staff who lend their expertise and skills to making the educational experience here in West Bend. You can also see that we report our employees as full-time equivalent, so there could be a mix of part-time staff in there. It's all culminated. And you can also see the highlight that as our enrollment decreases, we've been right-sizing the district all along. So when those opportunities exist, we take advantage of them with our staffing to ensure we're on point with those reductions as our students have reduced. Again, we really seek to recruit and retain the most amazing staff. That is a clear goal because that's what our goal is to put amazing people in front of our students and in service to our schools and our communities. So we're really proud of these statistics, our retention rate, our consistency and job satisfaction. Those are all pieces that we monitor and again work to improve consistently. In addition to, like I said, I could be here all night if I were singing the praises of students and staff, but we have formal recognition for our staff through the Rolf's Education Foundation as well as the district each year. You can see here our list of last year's winners. So congratulations to that staff. And I'd also like to highlight staff members who spend their time and talents writing for grants. These are just a few of the grants that they've received most recently to support our students. Technology is generally discussed. Andy foreshadowed kind of when we start next year's budgeting process. It's unusual, but we start those conversations in December and January with the board. We want to get out ahead of scheduling the work. As you can imagine, much of our technology and facilities work needs to take place when school's not in session. This is just a few of the highlighted projects that they've completed, and some you can see noted as still in progress. So again, we start those conversations early, not just to get into that schedule, but so for the many projects we go out to bid and we can secure the best price for the project as well. I foreshadowed some of those facilities projects. Our board has a commitment to capital maintenance as well. In addition, we have policy language that gives us not just that amount, but a commitment to grow that at a 4% rate annually. So those monies continue to grow as we work through budgets and take care of, again, some of the capital improvements, maintenance, things that we need, in addition to our operational budget. Again, you can see some of those projects still in progress, but just a thank you to the many support staff who support getting our buildings ready. Whether it's big projects like this, a lot of this work can be taken care of in-house. We have our own certified electricians, HVAC specialists, so it's nice to have those abilities to save time, dollars, et cetera, and take care of that work in-house. And one of the pieces as we look for kind of entering that first phase, we've been engaged in well over a year in facilities planning for the future. We've talked about the enrollment and where we're going to be in the future and making sure that we carry forward a footprint of square footage that we can maintain and not in excess of what we might need down the road. That culminated in a question that would be placed on the fall ballot for the community to consider regarding the referendum. We've been working with EUA and Findorf on the comprehensive assessment. And you can, again, find a whole tab on our website that gives you detailed information. But again, it includes closure, grade level configuration, all of those pieces as part of that phase one. I would ask that you consider attending an open house, which will be held, our next one. We had our first one here at the high schools last week. And then we have an open house scheduled for October 14th at Jackson. It's an open house format, meaning you can come in and walk through stations that are about facilities, finances, configuration, closure, and you can visit them anytime between 6 to 7:30 p.m. So you can stop in, hit one station for information, see them all, and spend any amount of time that you would like. So again, it's an informal open house format. You can always visit our website for additional information, or you can feel free to reach out to me directly regarding that. So that concludes my state of the state, if you will. I'll turn that back over to our chairperson.
Thank you, Dr. Wimmer. We will now move on to consideration of proposed resolutions. There is one tax levy resolution for consideration that includes language for the estimated levy with debt issuance from a past referendum, as well as an estimated levy with no debt. The resolution is the black text on the screen and includes additional context in blue, which are not part of the official resolution. After I read the resolution, I will ask for a motion and a second for consideration of the resolution. Prior to the vote, there will be an invitation to speak. I will read the resolution. Resolution number 1, tax levy with debt issuance from a past referendum. Resolved by the electors of West Bend Joint School District Number 1, West Bend, Wisconsin, that there be and hereby is levied on the taxable properties within the confines of the district taxes in the amount of $47,324,350, including $1,875,000 to be applied to the Capital Projects Fund, $8,250,000 to be applied towards possible long-term debt obligations, $650,000 to be applied to the Community Service Fund, and the balance of $36,549,350 to be applied to the general fund for the 2024-2025 school year in accordance with the recommendation of the school board. Resolution number 1, tax levy. Resolved by the electors of West Bend Joint School District Number 1, West Bend, Wisconsin, that there be and hereby is levied on the taxable properties within the confines of the district taxes in the amount of $39,074,350, including $1,875,000 to be applied to the Capital Projects Fund, $650,000 to be applied to the Community Services Fund, and the balance of $36,549,350 to be applied to the general fund for the 2024-2025 school year in accordance with the recommendation of the school board. Do we have a motion? Melanie, thank you. Do we have a second? Chad Temez, thank you. At this time, eligible voters can share their feedback on the topic of the resolutions. Residents will be given 3 minutes to speak. Every U.S. citizen age 18 and older who has resided in the district for at least 28 days is an eligible elector. Each elector who wishes to speak should line up at the podium on my right, your left, and ask that you state your name. I would invite members of the public to speak regarding the proposed resolution at the podium to my right, and again, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes per time. A visual timer will be present. Individuals interested in speaking can form a line at the microphone. Okay, seeing none, a motion has been made to adopt resolution number 1, which is resolution number 1, tax levy with debt issuance from a past referendum, resolved by the electors of West Bend Joint School District Number 1, West Bend, Wisconsin, that there be and hereby is levied on the taxable properties within the confines of the district taxes in the amount of $47,324,350, including $1,875,000 to be applied to the Capital Projects Fund, $8,250,000 to be applied toward possible long-term debt obligations, $650,000 to be applied to the Community Services Fund, and the balance of $36,540,350 to be applied to the general fund for the 2024-2025 school year in accordance with the recommendation of the school board. Resolution number 1, tax levy, resolved by the electors of West Bend Joint School District Number 1, West Bend, Wisconsin, that there be and hereby is levied by the taxable properties within the confines of the district taxes in the amount of $39,074,350, including $1,875,000 to be applied to the Capital Projects Fund, $650,000 to be applied to the Community Services Fund, and the balance of $36,549,350 to be applied to the general fund for the 2024-2025 school year in accordance with the recommendation of the school board. We are now going to take a vote on that motion. Eligible voters must vote on the motion using the orange ballot cards you received at check-in. Residents should circle yes or no on your ballot. Yes will indicate support for the resolution, and no will indicate that you do not support the adoption of the resolution. There are 2 ballot boxes at the front of the room, 1 in each aisle. Residents must place their orange ballot in the box to be counted. Residents should not show their vote to the volunteer at the ballot box, but do show that the correct color ballot is being used. Incorrect color ballots will not be counted. Okay, last call for all eligible to vote. If I can ask for 2 volunteers to serve as witnesses, and you will observe the counting process. Okay, thank you to our volunteers. The vote is 45 yes and 4 no. Assuming there's no other business, we've reached the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Amanda, thank you. And do we have a second? Kate McCall, thank you. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We will do a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay.